Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Cosmic Maps. We are doing part 9. This is the last episode for our Cosmic Map live series that we have been doing for a couple of weeks. We've been doing this. So today we are here. We're going to be talking ancient warriorship. And to join me in a moment, we are talking embodying prophecy, leadership, and impact. Yay! And she's here.
Yeah. Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
hello,
So good to be here.
Nonofang. So good to have you here today for this last part of the Cosmic Maps that we've been doing here in WARRIORSHIP as part of our enrollment season, which is ending tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day to apply to any of our offerings, and then we're gonna go for a relaxing time.
A little bit.
Yeah. In a way. So I have here with me Nonofang Lekau, who is our residential money coach in WARRIORSHIP, and she's also her own money alchemist. She's doing amazing work. Say hi to
Oh my
people who may
God.
be meeting you
Hi,
actually for
hi,
the first time.
hi.
Yeah.
I am Nonofang Lekau. Like Dre has already said, I'm a money alchemist, which is basically, I'm the woman who helps you nurture your relationship with money and address all issues that may come up in that relationship in order for you to start allowing yourself to be in alignment with your financial objectives, whether it's to pay your debts, whether it's to expand your money channels. And mostly I support people who want to be making money through that divine gifts and that divine skills. So I'm your cheerleader who actually wants you to create your wealth in this lifetime. So yeah, if it's the first time you're doing.
Yeah. Yes, so today we are jumping into that conversation of money because it is connected to the bigger conversation we're having, which is embodying a prophecy, our prophecies, and leadership and impact, right? So we're going to be riffing on that and just taking any of your last questions that you do have. Yes, so on the question on when will the next intake be, so the next intake is going to be sometime in September for some of our courses. Not all the courses will be open then, but some of the courses will be open again in September, so you can join then if you are interested on doing that. Right. Okay, so yes. So ancient warriorship, embodying our prophecies, leadership, and impact. So when I was, thinking about the conversations I want to have for Cosmic Maps as a way to really map our journey in evolving our consciousness, our journey in our spiritual awakening, our journey in stepping into higher purpose or service work, right? What that looks like. So every single episode that we've been doing was a bigger conversation. It actually keeps adding on to each other, right? And after, you have started to really embody or think about or awaken to your true assignment and your purpose, there comes a point in your journey where you have to start to embody this prophecy. You can't run anymore. You have to start to step into your leadership, whatever that looks like, right? And you have to start accepting that you're here to create some kind of impact in the world. And sometimes that's impacting your family, of course. For those of you who are the lineage liberators, you're supposed to impact the family by doing the work. But most people, if you're here, you are also really called to create impact in the greater collective, the greater human family, right? And that journey of embodying our prophecies, embodying our leadership and impact. It's a
Mm-hmm.
challenging journey. It will really open you up in just the most heartwarming, heartbreaking ways, you know. And that's the conversation we want to have today. And for us here in Warrior Mystery School, our mystery school is called Warrior Mystery School, Warrior being the operative word there, which is an archetype, right? The warrior is this person, this being who is not afraid to go to battle for higher ideas, for something greater than themselves, right? To defend purity, innocence, and the divine. Right? So that's what we will do. We are really literally initiating warriors, spiritual warriors, right? And so what we're doing is what I call ancient warriorship, right? You're stepping into ancient warriorship. The moment you start thinking of, I want to heal my lineage, I want to step into my higher purpose, I finally want to use my gifts that I have, that I know I'm capable of, like really creating impact. You are in a journey of warriorship, right? And as a warrior, that's a journey that you will step into, and there will be experiences that you will have that are interesting. And so that's ancient warriorship. And we both have been on this journey of the warrior for a couple of years in our own unique callings, right? So just interested to invite you to share with everyone here, just your thoughts on this journey of like embodying our purposes, leadership, and impact.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. So interestingly, the word prophecy has always been very interesting in my life. So I grew up in a very church-oriented family. So when I hear the word prophecy, I immediately think prophet, mo profeta ole in church, right? And I honestly used to limit the word prophecy to that which my prophet told me, that which a pastor in church told me. And just having this conversation, I want to start by broadening our perspective on prophecy, in case someone is here as well and they've shared the same journey of just limiting prophecy to what you were told is going to happen in your near future or in the next year, right? So prophecy for me begins the moment into earth I'm birthed by my mother and she names me Nonofang. You know, my name to start with is a prophecy. Nonofang, be strengthened. It's like my mother knew that I will need the strength, that I'll need to embody so much strength to become the warrior, right? The warrior, the spiritual warrior, the warrior of my life, right? The warrior of my lineage. Another name I have is Manawa, which means the one who holds the seed. And Nawa is a seed, a bean seed. So I began to expand my idea of prophecy, obviously done spiritual work and work being mentored by Joy. I got to expand my idea of prophecy to say it begins with my name. It can also be about the blueprint of my life. My life path is a prophecy, right? I hold about myself are prophetic. The words I say, the everyday words I say about my life, the way I'm able to speak life into something, into any situation, whatever I'm able to pronounce, declare, is a prophecy. So prophecy is embodying the truth that you yourself, you know, resides in your core. And that truth will often start just from the moment you are born. Although, yes, sometimes we often get cut off from our own inner prophecy because of life events, life experiences, traumatic experiences. However, each one and every one of us, I look at it as like, we are the prophets of our times. If we're looking for any other prophet, we are the prophets of our time. So when you embody prophecy, you are embodying your truth. Who are you at your core, right? And you begin to question your own existence. Why am I here? So now you pull in the issue of purpose, right? And purpose will lead you to now will lead to you now having to say, okay, if I know who I am and who I'm meant to be and why I'm here, then I have to lead myself. And that means sometimes defying whatever that is opposing that. Self-leadership becomes, a priority in that sense, and hence leading you to making a greater impact with just your life and your own existence. So yeah, that's how it speaks to me.
Yes, I love that definition. Sometimes I forget how specific words are actually codes that could either actually be experienced as traumatic to someone or as very healing and opening even more to the heart. And definitely prophecy is that. And if you've been listening to the live streams that I've been doing, we've been talking a lot about prophecy in the sense of isutunya or buporofeta and cultivating that. So a lot of the people who are here, I believe, are feeling that they are called to prophecy in the sense of like they're here to bring the messages, and these messages are really essentially about us becoming more and more of our true selves, right? The messages of the divine, right? In our own unique different ways in which we are called to come and bring these messages, right? The way today we're talking, literally this is prophecy, this conversation is a prophetic encounter, right? That you are having, right? So understanding, I love how you're explaining that, it's from the moment you enter this earth, from the name you're given, from the experiences you have along the way. These are weaving, I call it the great song, your prophetic song. Every one of us, like there is a song within, and it's like you are playing it throughout your life and figuring out just that unique song, which obviously, because it's unique to you, it means your journey is going to be very different from any other person. And because of that, this is why there is a need for that leadership, because you may be called to take a different beat from everyone else. You may be called to create a new beat entirely that no one has ever heard of before, but that's part of your song. That's the song, the prophecy that you are here to bring, right? And this is, for me, this speaks very deeply to me, because I am definitely one of those people who feel like, oh, my beat is a little out of sync with everyone else. My God, right? I really wish I was like so palpable and my teachings were so nice and compact. Like, I get it, Joy, but that has not been the challenge and the experience. So this morning, coincidentally, I did a grandmother journey, right? And for around my money and around what is holding me back in my own journey, in my own prophecy journey. And in my grandmother journey, connecting with the grandmother collective or consciousness of my bloodline grandmothers and even the greater grandmother energy of the earth and the cosmos. This has been literally the only message that has been like repeating over and over and over in the last couple of months for me, which is that whatever is often holding you back from embodying this great song, embodying your leadership and your impact, is often that you are refusing to accept yourself. You are refusing to accept your prophecy. You are refusing to accept the way in which you are, the way in which you express yourself, the way in which also your song is coming through. And you also sometimes refuse to hear it. Like, it's right there. You are getting all the messages from the divine, all the proofs, but you're just like, not today. I'll do it another time. And then you try to do it, and then eventually, of course, you're going to hit a roadblock somewhere there, and then you're going to cry, and you're like, why? I'm doing everything. Why are you not helping me? And they're like, but we did. What are you talking about? Right? So, yeah, so that was so interesting for me. It's interesting because even as I'm going through this process of birthing this work that I'm doing in Warrior Mystery School, I'm constantly being shown all these distortions that are holding me back from my prophecy, from my leadership, from my impact, and also from receiving resources, which is money in this case, right? And how that one, it's just that innate fear we have to accept like who we are. And this, I know it speaks to many of you here. Let us know in the chat. When you are gifted in a, let's just be frank, when you're spiritually gifted and you are a prophet, and this is one of the other things that the grandmothers were telling me, our generation, we like to run away from our anointing. Yes, I know that word also has its own word, but we run away from our light, the light of God within us, and we like to come up with new names. And this is why lately I've actually been called back to use the ancient words: anointment, anointing, prophecy, Christ, because we have complicated all of this with all the other new words. And actually it's us running away from accepting like what we are, because we already know the power, right? Recognize how it's easy for us to believe other people are prophets, but we are not, right? And for us to have an idea of what that looks like, that you are a messenger, you are a griot, you are a priestess, you are an oracle, you are a shaman, whatever it is. But the way we relate to that is always in this very like, ooh, I feel like I am. I always hear this in my conversations with those who are doing it when I'm to school. They're like, I just feel called to it. I just want to explore. And I'm like, but you do. I can see your soul knows deep down that you're not just called. There's something deeper calling you here. This is part of your prophecy. And it may be the beginning, but you eventually embody that, right? So yes, so this conversation of prophecy and how it plays out with our money. Let's go there.
Wow. So I love what you're talking about in terms of self-acceptance. One of the things that I know you do I'm sure you still do it. It's just that now I know you are so expanded in your work of spiritual work. But I know that when I met you in 2019, one of the things that made me feel home in this work that we got to do, the healing work that we got to do, was you introducing me to soul and affirming that you are a soul. And we did a journey on my divine inner child, which is the aspect of me that truly holds the light of God, that holds the truth, that holds the gifts that I have in that pure essence. The part of me that refused to be manipulated by the world, although yes, the experiences of the world will often make us feel manipulated, feel oppressed, feel victimized. But there's that aspect of you in the core that is just like, I know my truth. I know that me being talkative is a gift, that I'm meant to speak the word of God, right? I know that me being someone who's curious is a gift, because I will then be knowledgeable in what I do. I know that me, the money box at 9 years old, shows just how I can be good with my savings, be efficient with money. So that introduction to the divine inner child, the divine aspect of me that has always held on to my gifts, to the things that were true, is one of the most powerful experiences. And I think it's one of the ways that, community of healers we can always use and return to and engage with when it comes to self-acceptance, because self-acceptance tend to create so much shame around what we know is true. So often when people to do money work, or why people believe that, oh, the reason why I'm not making this amount of money, maybe I'm not talented enough, maybe I'm not as good as Joy in her work, maybe I'm not so much of a skilled person. It's all speaking to the lack of truly validating what is true about you. Because of an organic way of making money truly is returning to your inner blueprint. Of us has wealth energetics that they are born with. that are connected to the gifts of their lineages, that are connected to their own. Joy has been talking about how our lineages, we also have lineages in the cosmic. Like money, honestly, our money stories, the way in which we're meant to create wealth has so much to do with already the inner landscape, the inner gifts, our wealth energetics. And often we like to believe that we're going to come into this world. Of course, we were taught the model of, okay, go to school and then do this, do that, get a qualification, and then the money will come. The whole time, of course, that is helpful in the sense that it begins to make your brain believe that this is the way in which you can make money, and it makes it possible for you to buy into receiving money. Although that works, when it comes to our spiritual work and the way in which we are meant to create wealth, there is where we need to have the responsibility that in as much as we work on accepting our gifts, prophecy is to learn to emphasize on the way in which you'll be rewarded. So this will look like you having accepted your gifts, you doing the work of God. And when sometimes it feels like I am not making as much money, or I keep making money and losing money, or I make money, however, I feel like I'm not progressing, understand that there is probably where a part of you not yet grounded in that way, being the way in which you are here to create money because of the programming that I just talked about. So you have a duty to emphasize, and the way to emphasize on how you want to create money is honestly to keep being consistent and keep doing the work and keep embodying the prophecy until it truly get to see its reality happening. The reality of it will be when you are able to create wealth with your natural gifts. If you still find yourself feeling like I have to do this, I have to be like this, I have to perform, I have to prove myself in a way, I have to convince, know that you still need to do more work of embodying your own prophecy, because honestly there is not much you have to do to convince, to perform, to prove in order for you to have money. You are actually meant to create money in the most natural way, as a compensation, as a reward for who you are, for truly who you are. That's what I believe, where it means to say that it is your birthright to create wealth. It is you are born worthy. You are born worthy of the wealth, of the abundance. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Yes, 100% agree. Just this conversation is already
Yeah.
activating my spirit of prophecy coming through, right? So what is coming through right now is, let's break down this. What do we mean by embodying? Sometimes we talk about things and they just sound amazing, like, oh yes, I want to embody, but what does that actually mean? What is the process? Or at least for me, I'm always interested in the mechanics around that, right? So just I want to share a little bit around what I understand about embodiment, and you can share as well, right? So in this morning when I was doing my grandmother journey, the grandmother that came through was my paternal grandmother, right? And she was a grandmother that from when I was a young child, I met her when she could not walk, right? Like something had happened to her legs. And so my memory of her was just her throughout, and she didn't have a wheelchair, so she would be moving with her chair, literally. So that was the image of my paternal grandmother that I had. And she's the last, actually great grandmother, I should mention this. All my grandmothers are still alive. Well, yeah, both of them, yeah. My paternal great grandmother, right? So from my father's side, so she was the one who came through today, and through her, it was at the end of her death that I actually learned that she was still married to my paternal great-grandfather, but my paternal great-grandfather lived with his second wife. So my whole time, I thought they had separated or something. I never saw him visiting her, you know. And that was her life was one of the lives that I've had to heal. But in any case, what came through in the grandmother journey today was her not feeling recognized during her lifetime. And then I never realized this, but all my great grandparents, the women, they were literally doing the task of the mother, taking care of the children most of their life. They never got to work. And they never got to actually use their gifts to step into whatever prophecy they had besides being mothers. I'm sure they had their own unique prophecies, right? So my great-grandparents, that came through today, and my grandmothers as well, that was also the same case. And I then realized my mother is the first in my lineage, or at least in tracking them, whoever actually got an opportunity to even just go to work and create her own wealth and create her own impact and leadership besides being a mother, right? And I'm sure, like even like when I really look at even my mother, oh, it's Happy Mother's Day to everyone who's here. That journey of her stepping into her own prophecy, I'm sure it's been actually a very challenging journey for her. And has been an inspiration to why I come and share here, because she's always wanted to awaken her spiritual gifts, and it's been a hustle, right? But I then realized that I'm the first of my people to actually be doing this, right? To be stepping into a spiritual gift and literally sharing that with the world. And I realized that the heaviness that I sometimes feel in stepping into my prophecy in my leadership is all these other times within my blood or within my energy or my spiritual field connected to all these grandmothers, all these dreams never done that I'm holding on to, right? And what was coming was the theme of recognition, that they were never recognized, even when they were great mothers or they did that job really well. There was never ever a celebration at the end of the day, right? And that collapsed their heart, that collapsed our DNA, our bloodline, right? And I noticed even myself, that's a theme I have battled with, right? And it has been in a way that is unconscious to me. I don't recognize it, right? There's a whole entire story that also came through with the word recognition. But when we're talking about embodying your prophecy, we mean embodying not only what you are called to do, but embodying all these other challenges and all these other fears and transcending them. And when we're not able to create impact, we're not able to step into, it's usually because something is holding you back. And that's an energetic thing. It's not just witchcraft or people don't want to buy from you. It's because there is something in your field, in you, that makes it difficult for you to step up and be seen. And because people don't see you, they don't buy from you. So that's what we mean by energetics. So your energy itself is repelling people because you fear for them to even come in. And even if they do come in, you are not able to receive them because you are the first of your people to see people coming in and you're like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. We are not supposed to be celebrated like this, or we're not supposed to be supported like this. Like, you know, when I saw the timelines of my grandmothers, for them, like it was actually, you know, I think patriarchy would stop them, but also their partners who were males who probably didn't recognize that, yeah, that their partners are not living that dreams, you know. So the energetics for me in the work of warriorship, spiritual warriorship, I mean us going into this spirit realm and actually dealing with what is in our lineages as a legacy. Do we come from a legacy of women who went out and did the things? Or do we come from a legacy of women who were oppressed or suppressed? And how is that legacy now, when it works with your soul, does it support your ability to step up, or it makes it much harder, right? And this is why have the conversation of like lineages all the time, because the way that it plays out with pretty much everything in our lives is unbelievable, right? So I call this the legacy field in lineage legacy, like understanding what's in your legacy field, our ancestral experiences, and particularly if you look at the gender that you are, and you look at, you know, other people who have the same gender as you, will see a story there that tends to play out, right? So when we're saying we're embodying our prophecy and we need to do energetics, we mean we need to figure out what is holding us back in the energy, in our soul energy, in our inner child energy, in our spiritual energies, and then heal that. You can go to a healer, you can go to the people who promise to give you, you give them money and they're gonna double your money, but that money is not gonna stand because the roots are not grounded on a truth, and they're not grounded on you stepping in the new that you're here to bring back, to bring to the earth, right? You're still in the old timelines of your grandmothers, and we still are trying to bypass the initiation that has to happen for us to start the new legacy, right? Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I really
have
love
no
how
questions.
you are connecting prophecy
Yeah.
even to our lineages. The truth is, as Black people, actually, for the longest time, because a lot of times in our families, the experiences we have are often more of a reversal of the prophecy, which is why one of the topics you had to address so beautifully is ancestral curses. A way of understanding prophecy at a higher perspective is understanding that in our families, actually, the prophecies exist in our lineage. However, we are experiencing them as reversals, as ancestral. That, like, for example, in growing up in my family, there were so many issues around finances and debt. Instead of me just, well, we have financial issues and debt, and that is it. That would not be me embodying the prophecy. Embodying the prophecy is now looking at the higher perspective as a warrior, right? Warriors have a higher perspective. They see the map before the battle. It's seeing this pattern as the actual prophecy, right? To say that, okay, struggles. If there is a theme of debt in my family, it means that the prophecy for my lineage is actually wealth, right? If we are not completing our studies and we're having issues around attaining higher education degrees, PhDs, actually, and we have a lot of dropouts in that lineage or in that family, the prophecy there is these are the ones who have the higher revelations, right? That's what I want to believe. Any form of pattern that you notice in your family in reversal, as if it's a curse, you actually have a duty to see the prophecy that is actually written. If relationships are failing and it feels like no one here is experiencing love, the prophecy in that lineage and the prophecy over your life is the divine union, right? And so therefore, I look at as embodying prophecy, honestly, will connect to first acknowledging and accepting that, okay, this is the pattern that I'm seeing. And then going forth and saying, how do I break out of this pattern, especially for you as a warrior? How do I break out of this pattern? What is the healing work that I can do? What is the action that I can take in order to create that legacy? Because honestly, at a higher perspective, lineage legacy is fulfilling the prophecy of that lineage, to say that we will return to what is true. We will return to the wealth. We will return to the divine unions, and to the knowledge, and the next generation will feel the impact of that.
Yeah, yes, I 100% agree. That is what I always see. You know, like people come to me and I'm like, I'm gonna read your gifts. And then I read that gift, and then immediately I see the reversal, the overlay around that gift, right? Like I will be telling them, oh, you know, your gift is divine union as a family. And they're like, but Joy, no one is married. What are you talking about? You know? But exactly what you said, it's because that's the whole path of the warrior. The warrior is, we are understanding that we had a fall in our journey as the human consciousness, and things started to go backwards. We are in the upside down world, right? And so, of course, if you're going to repair something, if you're going to fix something, if God is going to like bring back the original divine templates, God will send in, you know, divine warriors who have the templates, and he will send them, she will send them into lineages where there has been infection of that template, there has been reversals of that template, a curse has happened in that template, right? Which is why being a lineage liberator, a genetic path cutter, can be so challenging, because there's also this innate feeling in you, like just depending on what the case is. For me, my case, the big case in my family is union, right? But ever since I was a child, I just knew I'm meant to be in union. Like, it was just annoying. I'm like, this, I don't understand what's happening here. Like, why is it so complicated? I used to be that person who'd be telling, when I was a teenager, I would be like, I'm going to be an epic girlfriend. I just know it. I'm meant to, you know? Because I was reading my template. That was my prophecy. I recognized it even when I was 13 years old, 14 years old, right? So even for you, whatever your curse, not a curse, like whatever it is that is a challenge for you right now, that is making it difficult for you to step into your prophecy, just generally in life, but also wanting to talk about your prophecy in the sense of your purpose that you are here to do. Right? For those of you who are here meant to be healers, meant to be priestesses, oracles, shamans, whatever it is, right? Most of the time, this is why they will always say that someone behind was supposed to be a priestess and they didn't answer, so that's why it's coming heavy on you, right? There's a little bit of a truth in that mechanics of that, but it also just means, it's a gift and it wants to play out, and it's going to keep trying to play out through you, right? And sometimes we create more struggle in our lives when we fight this prophecy, when we fight our nature, our nature, our divine nature, right? So for me in my journey, there were years where I would not be sharing what I share now because I was so afraid to share what I was sharing now, and that held me back. People wouldn't come and listen to the live streams because I wasn't in alignment with my divine template. And for me, I later understood it as I'm rejecting the light of God that is within me. I am rejecting God's assignment. God has given me an assignment. I'm saying, nope, I don't want to do it. It's too uncomfortable. The people won't understand. And that's honestly a lie. It is one of the biggest lies that we have here. Because what I have seen consistently is that the more you do actually accept your assignment and embody that assignment, take the steps which includes a lot of healing yourself and healing all the fears that hold you back from stepping into whatever your prophecy is, the more things actually just happen more organically, more easily. The divine forces tend to support you more when you step into your prophecy. But when you try to go away, you try to manipulate the divine forces to be like, listen, I just want to be working in the bank for 5 years. Just give me 5 years. This is going to be like, okay, go, but we're not going to participate in this, you know? And then you're like, oh, in every job I go, I don't get promoted. I don't get, I never get the job. I don't know what's going on, right? It's not always that you're not in your prophecy, it's just that sometimes, sometimes it is that is not your assignment. It's an assignment you can do, but it's not your true assignment. It's not your true prophecy, right? And so that also means that we are in false leadership. We're leading the wrong people. We're leading the wrong spaces, right? And so our impact, yes, may be valid, and impact is always valid. As long as we're changing a human life, that impact is recognized, that service is recognized and appreciated, right? But if you know in your being that there are these aspects of you holding back because of fear from doing that thing that you're really good at, right? Like recognizing that, yeah, you could be creating more impact that you probably don't even understand how big it is, from your lens. So all this to say, like for me, I had to have that rude awakening to realize that I can't just talk about psychological concept because I used to hide behind my background in psychology. And there is an assignment behind me having went to study psychology for sure. But that assignment actually was for something bigger, and I have to accept it and allow it to play out the way it's meant to play out, right? So it was healing. It has always been healing. The path of the warrior is the path of healing and the path of embodiment and the path of alchemy, right? So the other day, I was telling you, someone had posted and said that there's no need to heal. Like, we don't need to heal anymore. We've entered part of the earth cycle where there's no need for healing. And you were just like, no, what? There is so much healing that needs to happen. You are one of the most committed, and just like the way you believe so much in healing, I always love it that, So why do we need to heal? For us to embody our prophecies, our leadership, for us to change our money stories. Yeah.
The reality of things is that, remember when our lineages are experiencing reversals and our family experiencing reversals, much that is created out of that pain of that reversal. And that looks like even the children who are born into that family getting to adapt through the programming that is being done, the teachings that will be on, right, from generation to generation. If they are based on the reversals and what feels like curses or what feels like unhealthy patterns, these teachings keep going on and on and on until you get to a point this is not true or questions it. I'll give you an example with me. Not that I have arrived, but like about me, my family, and that's my nuclear family and my extended family experiencing hustle and tussle around money, right? Yes, I wouldn't say it was always so horrible and we were poor, no, but mostly sometimes just knowing that the only time we talk about big money is if maybe mom got a loan from the bank, right? So when you experience that and in my experience of that, I recognized that when I started working, that money is something that you get to spend. It doesn't stay in the bank account. And also, that is very, very normal. Like, in my brain, that was very normal. And although I didn't get to go to a bank and also the bank, I found myself, for example, going to a shop and lay-buying, and sometimes going to 6 different shops and just placing lay-bys there. That way, month end, I have so much to pay, just the way I was taught, right? So the thing about being programmed and being taught something, especially from a place of pain and reversals, because our families will look at us like, we're just doing the best we can with how things are, is that you will find yourself continuing that pattern unless you awaken to it. So healing is basically awakening to something and questioning if actually it is true, if it is actually worth continual, right? Because I am here and later I am going to be someone's grandmother and I am going to pass certain teachings to that person around money. If I never question anything around the experiences of money, for example, if I never allow myself to expand my knowledge or to explore other modalities of experiencing money, that means that this may continue and go on and on and on. Hence why we'll then still talk about ancestral curses generations from now. So now the question I have for even the warriors in this platform is to say that conversation that you would like the next generation to have about you, about your lineage, about the experiences of your lineage. If you find yourself saying, I want a different conversation, I want this certain type of conversation to take place, then it means that you are the one who has to awaken and begin to heal, because you are the one who has now the duty to restore, to repair, to shift certain things so that they can honestly, so that we can be in our godly timeline. Healing also, I look at it as like returning to your godly timeline. Some things, some pains that we experience are so false, they are not true. There was a time when a certain quote said, difficulties are just a projection. I was pissed. Like, how dare you say that this is just a projection? Like, this feels real to me. And she was like, yes, it feels real to you. But the reason why she said it's a projection, it's because she was basically awakening me to realize that the pain that we experience and we feel like we have a choice, it can be changed. It just takes literally a warrior to work on changing them, and it's not a one-day thing. So healing is like the doorway to change, the doorway to transformation, right? So hence why I'm such an advocate of healing. Like, honestly speaking, reconnect to what is true through you healing, through you questioning. And healing is not just you praying or standing in front of the mirror and saying, I am rich. No, healing is truly acknowledging the false reality and seeing it. And by the time you say, this is a false reality of experiencing love, of experiencing money, of experiencing my business, you have seen it, and now you are ready to change that, to shift that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yes. It, for me as well, it's been the pathway to here. Every single milestone where I have become more and more of who I am as a human being, you know, just even a simple thing of coming to do a live stream and talking about ancestral curses.
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me this 10 years ago, I'd be like, what? Why will I be doing that? Like, in public? And where's my mother when I'm doing this kind of things? Right? But what got me to here was the healing, right? And as Nonofang has said, and I think we've spoken about this in every single live stream in the Cosmic Maps, about like ascension. True ascension is this path of the warrior, and it is about really healing beyond just what we've been doing, going to a prophet and then being told, oh, yeah, I see that you're going to be rich. It's not healing. It is something, it is an experience, and it could be a reading, and it could obviously open you up to understand yourself better, right? But healing is like, it's a messy thing of like walking through the valley of shadows. This is what I like to say. It's walking through the valley of shadows and having to face your shadows. And I want to mention that a lot of the time, true healing requires a shift of your consciousness, an altering of your consciousness. Not only in, oh, I'm listening and I'm learning something new and my consciousness is growing from this knowledge, but actually a deep somatic experience where the body, the mind, the spirit all experience the transformation in the deeper layers of these aspects of yourself. So the reason why your affirmations are not working, the reason why you are reading all the self-help books, you're watching all the live streams of every healer, every person that, you know, is sharing that work, but year in and year out, you are still in the same place, is because transformation did not happen in other layers of the self. Sometimes the transformation only happened in your mind. You just learned new information. Your intellect received that, and you just shelved it somewhere in the mental realm, right? But the physical body, it's still stuck. As I mentioned, I literally this morning found a pain body of my great grandmother in my energy, right? In the emotional energy, like her pain of never being seen and being neglected and being left for the second wife, right? And just having to live the last 20 years of her life by herself, right? That pain was within my own energy, and it was literally affecting and influencing my leadership, influencing my prophecy, influencing the impact and influencing my money. And these are things, when I say I was with the grandmothers, my consciousness needed to travel. My soul, I needed to connect with my soul and travel through the ancestral realm and actually receive this knowledge, this information at that level. And today I was actually in this process. It was a 30 minutes journey, and I was thinking about, oh my God, I'm now able to travel so much faster within 30 minutes. A long time ago, like not a long time ago, like a couple of years back, I would have never been able to, like the level in which I was able to go, and I'm only just describing 10% of what came through from that journey. It was so much bigger than that, right? But what I now am able to do, it is connected to what we call consciousness expansion. You have to expand your consciousness. And your consciousness, we're talking about not just the part of you listening to me now, but that deep aspect of the soul, that deep aspect of the wounded child, all of them coming together with you, all the ancestors coming with you for this transformation to happen across everything that influences who you are, right? And that's when we're talking about energetics. This is why even you share a little bit about money medicine. You can change your money experiences with, oh, I'm going to budget better. I can tell you, warriors, most of the time, rarely does this ever happen, but every time you say that you're going to one day join the Warrior Mystery School, people who are thinking that right now, most of the time they never join Warrior Mystery School the next time we enroll. And that's because whatever your situation is today may not change 3 months from now or a year from now. Because whatever is stopping you from enrolling, it's not because of what's happening physically. It's an energy, consciousness, your state of consciousness is what's stopping you from joining. And that's the state of consciousness. If you don't go through the healing experience, that means it won't be changing 3 months from now. Or it will change, but not enough for you to later be able to make the change that can open you to your higher level, to your God timeline, right? This has been a fascination for me. Like 6 years, I've got people who've been on this community sending me messages, Joy, I'm going to join. And year after year, it's the same story. And I want to explain that it's not your fault. And this is not to shame you, but it's to understand why that's happening. It's happening because we are dealing with deeper layers. Life, by the way, is this. Most of the time, the problems you are facing, the challenges you are facing in whatever part of your life that is, they have a lot to do with your inner state of being and what you have inherited and all the programs you've received from your parents, from your lineage, from the collective. These things, they play out. And most of the time, unfortunately, I think that human beings, we really think we can will ourselves out of trauma. Like, I'm gonna just Joy, I'm telling you, in September I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna will myself to take the step. But what's holding you back is what you call the octopus. Your trauma is not gonna disappear, right? 3 months from now, right? So recognizing, and like part of like my grandmother's helping me accept myself was the like, Joy, you have to also accept that you are here to help people, and unfortunately for you, you are helping people because based on where you are placed, and that's your land, that's Botswana, that's Africa, and you cannot override and pretend that people are at a certain place when they're not there. So that's your issue. You keep wanting people to come to the PhD classes, but they can't come to the PhD classes because they still need this, right? So I think this conversation of acceptance is about understanding that we've inherited some pretty messy stuff, guys. And it takes a lot to untangle this. And sometimes you need help. And it's okay to recognize that and accept that and not, try to burden yourself with like willing yourself. And this is the issue why I'm kind of like anti-self-help books, because they tell you just wake up at 5 a.m. and override. Wake up at 5 a.m. and start and hustle and your business. You're going to be a millionaire by end of year. Year and after year, are you a millionaire? No, because you're going to do the 5 a.m. club exercise for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you quit. You're like, I can't do it. Because you can't override your trauma, right? Anyway, I can talk for hours. If you have any questions,
no, I love
let us
what
know.
you're
But
saying.
yes,
I'm
Nonofang.
actually like, yes. Honestly, what needs to change is the consciousness more than anything. It needs to evolve. And as it evolves, then it can become easier for you to level up. And of course, like Joy has just shared, it's not about shaming. Actually, it's about you now. When you have this realization that, oh, it's my consciousness and the level that I'm at that sometimes holds me back from fulfilling my prophecy. Like, I want to join Warrior Mystery School and I keep holding back. Probably now there's a time to even be more compassionate. And then, okay, now what do I do? For you in your journey, especially as a warrior who would to be more conscious of your life, more conscious of the direction of your life. We can no longer be victimized by of our lives, of our lineages that are in reversal. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's not easy. I have had my own tough moments in the journey. Joy has had her own. But honestly, you need to build up your strength to really say, what am I willing to do? A list of what am I willing to do? Exhaust your list of what have I tried. If you have tried the affirmations, you have tried the books, you have tried to say, I'm just gonna do meditation and heal on my own. What if you were to say, okay, now I'm gonna leap and try this, right? So that years later or 6 months down the line, you don't keep wallowing in the same situation or feeling victimized by the same situation. So I'm fully receiving what you're saying, Joy. That was such a powerful moment. Yes. Dare yourself,
Yes, I don't
warrior.
know.
No, honestly, also for me, I talk
Yes.
about how I had financial issues and stuff. I dared myself to come work with Joy. It shocked me when she said, oh, okay, so here is the price. I was like, ah, what do you mean? This is how much I get to pay you? But I dared myself. Joy talks about the Christ impulse. That thing that is in you, that is in your core, that's like, do it. Do it. I know what's going to happen for you. You may not consciously know, but your soul will direct you. I leaped and I listened to my soul, and I am so happy that I got to invest, although I didn't know anything about self-investment, but I got to invest and work with a healer and began to see so many things that were playing out in my life, hence making what felt like a horrible experience horrible in the first place. I was like, oh my God, I am happy to be doing the work of now just being a victim of like life is happening to me and stepping into the power of it's happening for me and therefore I have power. What do I do? That's what he. I believe we have questions.
Yes. Yes. Let's check out the questions. Okay. Okay, so let's start with this one. So I consulted, sorry. Okay, so someone consulted a pastor who promised initiation, and this pastor took their money, and now they are AWOL. Any thoughts around what you can say to them that looking for meaning, any sense of like understanding what has happened, why this will happen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it feels like there could probably be more to the story, but just from that message, I am recognizing the pain of feeling financially betrayed, right? And this is a deep wound for Africans, where sometimes in our conversations with money, because of our money and sometimes character, let's call it that. Sometimes it's just character. We experience where whatever we thought that we would invest in and get the results, we don't often get it. And this is what makes it sometimes scary for us to leap or even invest, because you're like, what if I don't get the fulfillment of what was promised? I do want to acknowledge, yes, that this is an ongoing theme in our finances for a lot of people. Betrayal comes up a lot, but also a kind reminder to warriors to say that just because you are maybe investing in someone spiritual, it doesn't automatically make them have integrity when it comes to finances. So we need to be able to, whenever we invest our money, are there contracts, right, that highlight what we'll get, if possible, right? What are there contracts? Are there documents that are guiding us onto exactly what we're investing into, right? Because if we just say, okay, I'm investing because it's a pasta, but maybe there was not much clarity, there is a high chance that we may end up feeling like trade and feeling like we didn't get the thing that we want. I think that's what I can say for now, because I don't know the bigger story. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yes, this question is really important because I think it's a thing that's really happening in the community. So what I'm going to offer is what I call karmic competency 101. Okay, so a little bit about what karmic competency is. Essentially, you have to become competent. For you to get a driver's license, you have to become competent in learning the rules of driving, right? And so you have to be trained in that, and then after that you will pass your test and you'll be able to actually travel in the road with other drivers. So competence in that sense. Karmic, to say, why do certain experiences happen to us, right? We know the idea of karma, where something has come up and it feels like it's karma being punished or judged or something, but it's really not that. That's not the definition of karma. But I wanna, yes, bring into awareness for you, warrior, who has asked us this question, and for everyone, karmic competency 101. So step one, or part one, often when we go through particular experiences, particularly if they are really deeply challenging and confusing and really deeply triggering in ways that can be really shocking to the body, we may be encountering a karmic contract. And so what is a karmic contract? It's a contract that our soul has made with that person. And this contract may have happened before we incarnated or a long time ago in other timelines. And that contract has to play out, right? And I'm talking about karmic contracts because these tend to play out a lot in spiritual communities. So when they talk about how you're supposed to dream of the person who is supposed to initiate you, they're basically trying to say that whoever is supposed to initiate you, you must have a contract with them at a soul level. Before you even came here, that contract should have happened. And so you will, this is why, in the indigenous system, the way to know that I truly have a contract with this person is to dream of them, right? So that is not always the case with everyone. We don't always dream of, but essentially the mechanics behind that is you really have to check in with yourself to see if this is really truly the person who's supposed to be initiating you. A lot of the time, people make decisions to go for training or for initiation, often based on like, honestly, sometimes it's because who is the most famous person or prophet, who is creating more energy or vibes, you know, and who is promising us miraculous things, right? And so because of that, we are missing karmic competency number 2. In your initiation journey, this is a rule you must write somewhere and put it, paste it everywhere. When you are being initiated, which is you, if you're here, you are in an initiation, you will be initiated into the art of discernment. It is a lesson you can never skip. And the art of discernment is learning to know when something is true and when something is false. When a person is a true prophet and when a person is a false prophet, you will be initiated in this, right? And if you have not cultivated this discernment skill, sometimes what will happen is that the prophets who will come will be the false prophets. They will mirror your level of unawareness, right? And it can be very painful to look at it that way. Like I said, there are many different points to talk about here, as Nonofang was saying, because we don't know the whole story. So, but generally, you'll be initiated in your discernment. So one, sometimes an experience happens because you have a contact with that person, right? And that has to play out for you to heal that pattern with that person. And then the second part is that you are being trained and God is allowing for this to happen. Your ancestors are allowing for this to happen because you have to be trained with your discernment. The only way you will know the difference between truth and false is for you to sometimes go through a false initiation, a false pattern, a false prophet. So all of this, to not blame yourself, it's just part of your initiation, right? And this, I know in the times I've said this to people, they got triggered and they imagine that I'm saying that they deserve what happened to them. You don't deserve what happened to you. It's really, really painful, right? I just want you to understand the actual spiritual energies that are playing out. We have to have a frank conversation, and I'm trying to have this conversation, which is why the initiation protocol video was part of the series. A frank conversation of like how we do not have enough spiritual education and spiritual consciousness, awareness, to know the difference between when we're experiencing something that is of God, that is of the true ascension, and the false one. And many of us, we don't even know the questions to even ask to know. How will I know who is a true prophet and who is not, right? But there is some aspects of what we are playing out that is in the book of Revelation, which does talk about like that at this particular point when the 7 seals will be activated and we are within the 7 seals, there will be many false prophets who will come up and who will promise us things. And we will have to awaken to know what is a true prophet and what is not a true prophet. So for the part of you that is like looking for meaning, if this was allowed to happen by your soul, by your team, they want you to learn. And in some way you are being taught something around money, that there's a lesson for you there to look into your money and your relationship with your money and what you've inherited. And to also look into what Nonofang spoke about contracts and just making sure, is this truth or not? Like taking your time and not rushing into things, right? That's also something for you to look into. And forgiveness of the self, of course, right? And this may come later, even forgiveness of this man for the role that he's played. And maybe you may never have to, but like just for your own heart and for your own well-being. So what I will say to you is recognize it, take it. There are 2 ways you can take it. One path is to feel deeply victimized by this and allow your heart to become dark and to shut down and say, I will never do initiation, and collapse and let go of your gift and your light and your prophecy. That path is you allowing this event, this pastor to win, the darkness to win. The second path is the path of forgiveness and the path of understanding and the path of recognizing I am not a victim, I am a warrior, and I was just taken into the underworld to see the reality of things. It sucked, but I'm going to be better for it, you know? Yeah, that's what I think.
Lovely.
Yeah, we'll stop there.
Yeah.
Okay, so second question is, my money doesn't stay. So her money doesn't stay. What's going on? And what can she do? Or he do?
Money doesn't stay. So this sounds like you're receiving money, but maybe you're not able to keep money. It could be an issue of course, you know, when it comes to money, a once direct linear story of what could be happening. But what is coming up is that often when we struggle to keep money, there is an issue of lack of regulation of the nervous system around even that money. It could be around maybe how often the money comes in or how it comes in, and also even how much that money is, right? We sometimes unconsciously even want the money to stay because it's a way of us protecting ourselves. It's a way of our nervous system protecting ourselves. Sometimes even the body doesn't recognize that money, or the body feels some type of way, some type of trauma towards even you making that amount of money. And so the money doesn't stay because currently it's not yet anchored. It's not yet anchored in your field from the perspective of it being familiar to your nervous system, it being familiar to your mind, body, and even your spirit. And spirit being that experiences around money could also be influencing, you know, you having that of experience where money is not staying. So a simple exercise to start teaching money to stay in your bank account, honestly, is to, what I have applied in my life is to allow money to stay in your bank account and allow yourself to hold it for at least 48 hours to 72 hours if you can. I know we always say we have direct debit stop orders coming in, but why we are keeping this money is so that you yourself allow yourself to go through a window of mental spending. So for a lot of Africans, because we come from scarcity, there is where often whenever money, even the thought of knowing that money is coming, our minds will literally go on over stress, and there will be thoughts fired around, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this. We saw it even with our parents when they were expecting a bonus, or so we have that programming where fires up when it knows that it's expecting money, and then you go through a phase of mental spending. Sometimes is why whenever money comes, immediately it feels like, oh, it just vanished, or it just disappeared. It's not staying because you spent it before it even landed in your bank account. So I'm just going to give you a simple exercise.
One moment. Keep talking. What's so interesting is the person who's coming here needs to listen to this conversation. Give me a minute, but keep talking.
So a simple exercise is, what if you could see over this money not staying by giving yourself at least 48 hours to 72 hours a day of how it feels like to actually keep money. And your nervous system will get to adapt to the idea of you keeping money in your bank account. Just a small exercise may be helpful. But yes, of course, if we're doing money medicines work, there could be a lot more we could do around that. Trauma around money and the experiences you have around money. Maybe even look into what is your current financial upper limit, which is basically the highest amount of money that currently you are comfortable with holding. Because if it's possible that you are unconsciously bringing in money that is beyond your unconscious number as the financial upper limit, you may actually find that that's possibly why you're not able to keep that money, because it's like, no, this is not money we are comfortable with. That's you and the aspects of you talking about this money. So yeah, it's a multi-layered issue, but go and try that exercise of saying, noticing how you feel when you know money is coming. Just the thought of like, I know I'm expecting money. And then what actually happens as soon as money comes into your bank account? Are you someone who's comfortable leaving money for a period of time? What would happen if you left it and allowed yourself to move through the phase of mental spending? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because like my visitor today is definitely a person who needs this, and I was just thinking about the answer to this in terms of from an ancestral lens, you know. So in my journey of doing money work, I noticed so around money not staying, right? The how when I was really actively struggling with this, I noticed that I was reacting the same way that the women in my family do, which was an ancestral pattern, which was that most of the time they will get really overwhelmed. The emotion was overwhelmed just by the responsibility that this money is expecting of them, and they will go into what I call the feminine collapse, just collapsing like, oh, I can't handle it, right? So, and then immediately in that feminine collapse, they just have this anxiety that it's there sitting. So what they do is just, let me give it away to whoever. Let me spend it as much as possible, right? So once I was able to see that ancestral pattern play out in me, right, like the frequency of overwhelm was something that I really had to fight, because honestly, growing up, I didn't even realize that I am in a state of overwhelm all the time. I just thought that's how someone is. Right? I wasn't particularly anxious as a child, but more of constantly overwhelmed and overthinking. So that's also things to look into, like the emotions behind that. But maybe you already shared that. Yes. Okay. So one last question. Okay. How can I use my gift to work for me, for my leadership impact, and to bring me money? And is it a bad thing? Interesting. That last part, is it a bad thing? It is. It's not a bad thing, but it's definitely a program that we do have in the collective, that when we use our gifts, you know, like it's just somehow like there's something wrong with that. Like you're not supposed to use your gift, you know, and you can't expect to be compensated with your gifts. I also see, just even with people, the way they treat anyone who's pursuing that prophecy, that leadership, that impact through that organic gift or that divine gift. There's often a certain level of expectation that somehow this is not work and this is not something that deserves to be compensated, right? I was frustrated sometime last week because I kept receiving DMs of people saying, I want a book. And then after I send the link, they're like, is it paid? And I was like, but why wouldn't it be paid? Like, and I was like, what is behind that consciousness? But it's really that like somehow what me and you are doing right now is not recognized as work. Sharing wisdom or education, even if it's a life transformational knowledge, it's not, right? So recognizing that this part of you that believes is bad, it's a big program, and there are often vows and covenants underneath that, probably connected to colonization, connected to slavery, even to war timelines, even in your land, if there was ever war. Like just this idea of like us thriving from our own uniqueness. Right? First of all, we take the story of like Black people. This is where people could come into our land and say how we are, there's something wrong with that. Of course, then that will go all the way to even how we express ourselves, including our gifts, that we will start to think there's something inherently wrong with that and they're not supposed to be We're not supposed to cultivate them or use them or be compensated, for them, right? So I remember, for me, after doing emotional work, the next level of my money work actually involved working with this scarcity consciousness and inferiority consciousness that I carried, that made me feel like I don't deserve to be paid, I don't deserve to be compensated. How could I be paid for when it's the messages of God? Oh, the ancestors gave me this to share with the people, right? And if you actually were to really live a day of a prophet, whether that's a pastor, that's a healer, a shaman, an oracle, if people were to really go through one day of what we do, like what it takes to even receive this message, especially if you're looking for true messages, pure messages, then you'd understand, like, you would never ever feel comfortable not paying. I've always been like for me, in all the times I've ever worked with people, I paid because I know what it's like, the pain and the challenges and the valleys of shadows that people have to go through to give us their messages, to give us healing. It's a lot, so we have to heal this within ourselves. You have to heal this within yourself, because if you think there's something bad about you receiving because of your gift, you will actually get a mirror of that from the world. People will keep telling you it's supposed to be free. It's really bad that you are asking us for money, all of that. So you a co-creator with natural law, right? And the law of resonance and the mirror back, the correspondence, the law of correspondence. If inside we feel this way, the world will correspond back and returns us exactly what we feel. This is why life is an inner journey and an inner work, right? So when we're moving from a state of I'm a victim to I'm a warrior, and I'm gonna learn everything I need to understand about reality, the nature of reality, and how I can step into it from awareness and make choices that are creating impact in my life and in the community. I lost track of my thought, but yeah. So it's about we do
and
need to heal
just
that.
to add on that, a way to make money with your gift is for you to pause right now and think about, or even observe, how many people are in distress, how many people are struggling around something that figured out or easy to do, or you found so easy to comprehend. So basically your gift, you have it because you are here to solve a certain problem. God, pure consciousness, recognize that humanity needs help with this and this and this, because God loves the evolution of humanity. And then he placed a gift in you, in your core, and said she or he will be the one who understands this as a higher level, or who's able to comprehend this and also be able to pass this message to my children. So your gift is a problem solving. Didn't want to say tool, I don't know what to call it, but it's here to solve a problem. So once you're able to recognize the problem that you are here to solve and work on the tangible, this is why we have Lineage Legacy Program still enrolling. You can sign up now, but the big part of Lineage Legacy is helping such divine geniuses like you to take that divine genius and create a framework that will highlight their gifts and their skills for those gifts and those skills, and offer it as a service, right? Or offer it as a service. Because why we struggle to be paid for our gifts is because sometimes we have not yet anchored in the value of that gifts. The reason why we struggle to get paid for it is because sometimes it's an issue of, like, it's not yet paint or framed in a way that it is easier for one to know the value of it. and it's easier for one to communicate the value of it. So yeah, this is even more reason for why Joy created this beautiful offering of lineage legacy, because yes, there is that struggle where sometimes we recognize that we're gifted, but it's like, how do I get myself to be paid for it? Right? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Also, I want to just add that having a gift doesn't necessarily mean that you automatically know how to use it, how to work with it, especially in our world with all the rules of the metrics, right? And a lot of the time, the reason why it feels like, I went to initiation, I've got all the training, but the clients aren't coming. It's because there's a huge aspect of us that somehow automatically assumes we know how to provide service for people. We know how to be in an entrepreneurial space. We know business. We know the rules of business. For most of us, we didn't study these things. Like, we know the rules of marketing and sales. And many people also want to actually divide these concepts we're talking about from their spiritual gifts. They somehow imagine that God is not in the business world, God is not in the money, your spiritual work is not connected to this concept, but they are. Like, when we are saying that we are repairing our lineages and we are returning our wealth, this is a very literal process. It's not just like, oh, now they're wealthy because they have my spiritual wisdom. That's a huge part of it, of course, but there's also where honestly we should desire to actually see transformation, a change in our lineages, right? Like, you ever look at your lineage and there's a point in your journey where you kind of recognize, oh, I don't come from like a rich family, that people who were rich, people who had privileges, people whose parents went and did degrees, people whose, and you're like, my parents ended here, right? Like, there's a point where you sometimes recognize this, and that's when you understand the status of your lineage in terms of the physical materialization and the embodiment of the prophecies and the gifts and all of that, that this is how much we've done, right? And so if you desire something different, that means you have to do something different as well. So for me, this is what anchors me, right? Like, that I see. And I'm ever so grateful to my ancestors, because they had their own challenges to even arrive to this version of me, right? It was because of choices that my mother made, that my grandmother made for my mother, and it just keeps adding on and on and on. And so this is what we mean by we're standing in the shoulders of our ancestors. They did the groundwork, but you have to go to the next level, to the next level, and to the next level. And if you're here listening to this, we have more knowledge than our forefathers ever did. You have access to that, and you have access to resources and empowerment, and like even spaces where you can be helped. Growing up, I didn't know that that a person can be helped. Like, even when I went through training in psychology, that was not, I didn't grow up people going for therapy as a thing, So now I'm just like, recognizing that we are so privileged to have access to resources and people who go for training for the holistic, multidimensional aspect of human beings, of who we are, right? So as Nonofang has said, tomorrow is the last day to apply to any of our programs, our membership, the Lineage Liberator membership, which is open for those who are wanting to heal themselves and they need a space and a community to actually go through that process. We also have the apprenticeship program, where this is for healers who are wanting to learn a healing modality in quantum healing, bioregenesis, ancestral lineage healing. So it's a bit different from what maybe you learned from your in folklore, right? And we also have lineage legacy, which is definitely for those people who are like, I've done all the trainings and I'm struggling here, where I'm like, no clients are coming. I don't trust myself with my process. I don't know, like, I've got the gifts, but I don't know how to really bring them into a cohesive, practical process. So I need support in that. And yeah, the conversation of money, prophecy, leadership, impact are a huge aspect of that course, right? As well as the workshop for those who are called by the waters, the Asian water bearers. This is a channeled course. This is why I have not spoken a lot about it. I mean, I have, but it's something that is so specific that I invite you to go check it out. It's for those who are called by the waters. There is new quotes that are coming in that if you are one of those people and you just know it by reading through that page, that you are supposed to receive. Lately in my sessions, I've been doing something like that's called giving reports to my clients, right? Because many of us have not been hearing our guides. So we're just kind of like stuck and going round and round. So I've literally been like, listen, I'm told to stop the session and tell you this, right? So I'm saying this because there are people who were actually meant, who are here to be great prophets, water healers, and they are stuck because they have not activated their living waters. And these are the children of the waters. So if you are one of those children, I ask you to check out the workshop. And we'll see you there if you're joining us this time around, right? Yes. Yes, Nonofang, do you have any
really
last
want
words?
to encourage whoever right now is tapping into that impulse and knowing that I know I'm meant to work with Joy. I know I'm meant to join Water Master School. Go to the website, read on the offerings, and select the one that you deeply resonate with. I also look forward to working with those specifically who are going to be in the lineage legacy. It is such a beautiful thing to be able to recognize your gifts and also now get to emphasize in the way in which you can create wealth with them. So some of the things you can look forward to in terms of the money side is like getting to explore how to create value for those gifts, anchoring into the price that you can energetically hold, how to process your emotions when you experience different cycles of money, especially in your journey of entrepreneurship, because they will come differently. How you can begin to even think about building your wealth portfolio as a way of creating legacy for your lineage. So there are yummy stuff that are going to be happening in this offering and also in the other offerings that are happening in Water Mystery School. Connect with what resonates with you. Begin at the level that you feel more called to begin at. Leap if you are being asked to leap at a higher level now. But also maybe kindly remind you that you can also, if right now it feels uncomfortable, it feels unsafe, and you see the possibility that you'll be more financially distressed, don't create FOMO for yourself or stress yourself, because trust that divine timing is going to happen for you, right? Trust that September, when we do the second enrollment, now this is a time to prepare for that so that you can enroll. But if you feel ready and if you want to allow your consciousness to expand in the way in which you think about healing, in the way in which you think about lineage legacy, in the way in which to embody the prophecy of your life and the leadership and the impact that you are here to create, and you feel it now and it's there, the impulse is there, go to the website and enroll. We look for
I always love your saleswoman. She is so good. Thank you so much for joining me on today's riff on all things Asian worship. Yeah. So as Nonofang said, this is the last day for tomorrow is the last day for enrollment, but we will be reopening enrollment in September. So don't be doing this choice from FOMO, as she said, right? So tap in and really make it from an embodied, like knowing that, okay, I have to do it now, right? Yeah. So thank you, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed the cosmic maps. Let me know what spoke to you. I'm always really eager to hear. Yeah, what was your favorite episode or the one that stayed with you? And I'm just an update. I will be kind of like what you say, missing on social media for the next 2 weeks as we are doing orientation week in where I missed to school. So this is the last live stream I'll be doing for this month. And I may come later in June. We will see where things are and how I recalibrate to the courses and all the people. This also means that I don't have slots for those who are looking for one-on-one work this month. And yes, I'm still just like sorting out everything, and I may open slots in June depending on my availability then. So if you're interested in doing a session, a once-off session with me, please wait until June, and then you can send me a DM after June. All right. Thank you all for listening, for joining us. Have a good day. Bye.